Hey guys, I want to make this video today to talk about feeling inadequate in your life or having low self-esteem. And this is something that can apply to everyone when you look back at what you have or you haven't accomplished. But in particular to people who may be dealing with chronic health issues, disabilities, and so on. So for me personally, I deal with, crippling IBS and digestive issues. So that makes a lot of things in my life hard. For others, it may be other illnesses, autoimmune disorders, Crohn's, cancer, whatever it may be. But regardless of whether or not you deal with those things, you may still feel extremely limited in what you can do in your day-to-day life. You may feel like you have fallen behind or have failed, constantly comparing yourself to the lives of others. And so in this video, I have 3 tips to help sort of alleviate or reframe those negative feelings and emotions. So the first tip I have is an analogy I came up with called the book analogy. And for this, I want you to think of your life as a novel. Think of it as a story. There are an infinite amount of books in the world, right? There are over 7 billion people on this earth, and the number of humans that have existed on this earth are countless. And yet, there are no 2 people that have lived identical lives. Like your life is your life, your story is also your story and no one else's. Everyone's book has a different number of pages, chapters, and characters. You might feel like you're on chapter 4 of your life story, and you might look to other people's lives and see that they're on chapter 42 or 43. And you might say to yourself, oh my God, look how much further ahead these people are than me. Look at them succeeding and flourishing at their life, and I'm just over here feeling helpless and worthless and pathetic and just not achieving enough. But the problem is that there's no point in comparing chapters when you're not reading the same book. I'm going to say that again. There's no point in comparing your story to someone else's story because you're not reading the same book. Your life could have 100, 500, 1,000 chapters. Other people's lives might have 40. Your life might be a full-length novel, while other people's lives are a short story, so their success seems fast-tracked. Your life story might not even be a single book. It could be a trilogy with many story arcs and plot points and events. Your story is unique, including all of the good and all of the bad. And seeing people lead a different life than you does not mean that they're leading a better life than you. And I think that viewing things in that way can help change that feeling of inadequacy to a feeling of value. And so the second tip I have has to do with social media. Social media isn't real. Online life is not real life. So I want to ask you guys, how many times have you scrolled through Facebook or Instagram or another app and you've seen people posting their life updates and they're showing off that new thing that they bought, they're showing off their new car or the new trip they went on, they're showing off that new partner they fell in love with, and it's just made you feel so far behind and inadequate, as if you're missing out on all of these fun, exhilarating experiences. However, the odd thing that I've noticed from what I've experienced and what I've seen in others seems to be that the more negative and hopeless we feel, the more we perpetuate that cycle of our current situation and the false belief that we are lacking. And guess what? All of the fancy or exotic things you see people post, I can almost guarantee that does not reflect their day-to-day life. Because one of the problems with social media is that we are constantly comparing our behind-the-scenes footage of our own lives to the highlight reel of someone else's life. We only have a glimpse of other people's lives, yet we can see everything about our own, including all of the bad. So the next time you're on social media and see friends or acquaintances or strangers having these experiences, flexing these material possessions, remember that does not necessarily reflect their reality. Because on the inside, we are much more similar than we are different. And chances are they're struggling internally just as much as the next person. And finally, my last tip is to practice gratitude. This means transitioning from a mindset of lacking to one of abundance. I think that acknowledging the things you currently have, being grateful for what you do have, can transform your energy into something more positive, attractive, and productive. Now, this obviously doesn't invalidate anything seriously negative that's happened to you. It simply reframes it so you're able to grow from it instead of feeling trapped in this negative state. Something to remember is that a lot of things in our life don't happen to us, they happen for us. Some of the traumatic things that have happened in my life I could perceive as purely negative, poor family experiences, breakups, abuse, things like that. I can instead perceive these things as something to grow from. It's not our fault these things happen to us, but we can choose how we react to it, and we can choose to either grow from it or remain stagnant. And lastly, it's important to give yourself enough credit for your accomplishments and what you've been through. This is very common with people with low self-esteem, where they don't feel worthy enough to acknowledge the things that they have done for themselves. Just to use examples from my own life. I graduated college at the end of 2021, and I remember finishing it as if it's nothing new, and I've always just shrugged it off. But, I had to sit myself down and tell myself physically that this was a huge accomplishment. Even if it took me 6 years, I did something most people in the United States haven't even done, with a 3.8 GPA on top of that. I had to tell myself to be proud of myself. I've been through years of health problems that most people don't experience, and I need to be proud of myself for even surviving this long. I also have a part-time job right now, and part of my brain feels inadequate as someone with a degree working a, quote, low-level job. But guess what? It's manageable, and it gives me some money. As a final example, my current vehicle is absolutely terrible. It's over 20 years old, constantly needs repairs, barely gets gas mileage. But guess what? It's still a vehicle. It still provides me transportation, and it still gets me to where I need to be. And that to me is enough to be grateful for. But yeah, those are the 3 tips I had for managing feelings of inadequacy or failure, or just feeling like you're behind in life. If this is helpful, let me know. Let me know what other topics you want me to cover. Also, Discord link is going to be in the description. It's pretty chill there. We're almost at 300 people. I want to blow it up really bad. So yeah, join that. And thanks for watching. Yeah, I'll see you later.